Hello denizens of the Empire, it's Jabbar here. Throughout history, the general definition of an empire tends to be described as a vast expanse of territory containing a variety of peoples and kingdoms, as well as several wealthy and lucrative cities and trade ports within its borders. Among these cities, there's usually a notable capital that is home to nobility and a palace in which the royal family resides. This capital also serves as the administrative center of the empire. When mentioning the Zulu, however, we typically don't see nor hear much about urban centers, royal capitals, or extravagant palaces. So today we'll explore exactly what one would expect to encounter when searching for a Zulu city. Historically, southern Africa is known to have given rise to thousands of stone structures complete with aqueducts and highly organized cattle kraals. The Kingdom of Zimbabwe is among the most famous of these, as it contains the largest stone structure south of the Sahara. Perhaps the most impressive aspect of these structures is that they are bound together not by mortar, but by meticulously quarrying and shaping the stones with such precision that they can fit together with every other stone, and these structures are supported entirely from the weight of the stones themselves. By contrast, the Zulu did not carry on this tradition, as it was typically associated with the neighboring Shona and Bakoni, among others. As a whole, throughout world history, what distinguished cities from villages was their tendency to have populations in the tens of thousands and have primarily market and skill-based economies, as opposed to more agricultural or agrarian societies. In this respect, however, the Zulu were quite unique. Before we continue though, I'd like to thank the Coldest Water for sponsoring this video. So it's been a fair amount of time since I've been using the Coldest Water thermos, and I have to say, I don't think I could, sponsorship or not by the way, I don't think I could ever use a different thermos. It's just crazy how effective this thing is. It keeps your water so cold. I literally put some cold water with ice cubes in it before bed, woke up the next morning, guess what, still cold water and ice cubes. It's like a miniature cooler, it's crazy, and I can honestly say, this thing has been helping me drink water more often, because I've been pretty bad about it in the past. This thing has definitely helped me do it more regularly. The Coldest Water thermoses can keep your water icy cold for over 36 hours. This is accomplished through its advanced lid technology, which also includes this tiny little puncture hole which lets in just enough air to build up pressure necessary to drink water through its built-in straw, thereby keeping your water much colder, much longer than other thermoses. It's so well insulated that it doesn't even sweat on the outside from condensing water, so everything around it stays dry. Also, if you take it in the water with you, it has a rubber grip and a handle so you can hang onto it easier, and it floats so you won't have to worry about it sinking to the bottom of the water. It fits in most cup holders, bike racks, and cars, and it also comes in multiple sizes. You can enter for a chance to win a free gallon thermos at the link down below, or receive a 10% discount on your entire order using my referral link, also down below. The Zulu Empire is arguably the most well-known empire in Africa south of the Sahara. Its namesake means sky or heaven, and according to oral tradition, the founder of the Zulu royal line shared this name. Despite the relative fame of the Zulu Empire, knowledge of this small yet powerful state usually starts and ends in its military campaigns. However, as mentioned in the opening of this episode, cities go hand in hand with empires, as they provide strategic locations for the acquisition, consolidation, and security of provisions, supplies, and personnel, all the while hosting hubs of commerce for their economies, and in some cases as bases of defense from attacking armies. Zulu cities served more or less the same purpose, but had some marked differences. Firstly, all Zulu cities were planned cities. In other words, they were all constructed for a specific purpose with a pre-planned layout, a concept present in other parts of the world but uncommon. These planned cities would be built on hillsides to allow for runoff of rainwater. They were also more or less constructed in the same manner as traditional cattle kraal, typically consisting of a circular enclosure with timber fortifications that could be up to 3 miles in diameter. Instead of their economy being fueled by trade and commerce, they instead relied on plunder of the countryside. In other words, they were predatory cities that could essentially be looked upon as oversized war camps. The outer ring was lined with up to 1,700 dwellings, each of which could house around 20 soldiers. The central court followed this circular orientation, and it's where cattle were kept. This space also had a section devoted to public speeches and business transactions. These predatory cities could be quite large. In 1830, the capital of the Zulu Empire was Umgungundlovu, which had a population of around 34,000. Due to their large size and being composed primarily of combustible materials as well as their innate hostile intentions, these cities very seldom outlived their builders. The Boers quite easily burned down Umgungundlovu in the year 1838. Due to the inherently short life expectancy of these royal kraals, it was customary for every new Zulu king to construct an entirely new capital when ascending the throne. An interesting point to note, however, is that neighboring peoples had similar traditions of city building, albeit their cities were constructed of stone rather than wood or thatch. They followed the same circular plan as that of the Zulu, and these cities too could be quite large. However, with the rise of the Zulu, a period of war, instability, and chaos soon followed, a period known today as Mfecane, or the crushing of peoples. This period of chaos forced many peoples of the region to abandon their cities and take refuge on cold mountaintops and cliff faces for protection. In 1829, a member of the London Missionary Society reported that the bases of numerous conical hills and small mountains contained what he described as ruins of innumerable towns, some of amazing extent. He also noted that these cities and towns were enclosed by large stone walls. The dwellings were so well plastered and polished that they appeared as if they were varnished. While most of these cities he encountered were abandoned, some seem to have held out in the face of this chaotic era. The city of Wataku, for example, still retained a population of around 10 to 15,000 people, and the town of Mashan had approximately 12,000. The Rolong peoples retained some towns with populations averaging around 20,000 people. However, moving away from the easily defendable hills and mountains, those cities in the grassy plains were plundered mercilessly by the Zulu, among other fleeing groups in a chaotic frenzy. To present day, thousands of these massive stone ruins can still be observed, laying deserted, largely unexcavated, with little to no archaeological care, attention, or preservation placed on them. Aerial photos give us a true testament of just how vast and expansive these ruins are in southern Africa, with numerous theories to their purposes and origins circulating, notably the radical pseudo-historical theories published by Michael Tellinger. In conclusion, the Zulu were very warlike people who continued to move, conquer, and pillage. Much of their success rested in their mobility, and they tended to construct cities in more or less the same fashion as their neighbors, but did so with materials and techniques that were more easily acquired and more temporary in purpose. Despite being sedentary farmers, they did not follow the traditions of permanent stone or adobe structures, and functioned in more or less the same manner as Central Asian steppe peoples, minus the horses and the bows. Their towns and cities did not thrive from artisans, blacksmiths, or scholars. Instead, they relied entirely on war and plunder, which was the sole drivers of their economies. Also, the Zulu, along with most other Bantu communities of pre-colonial southern Africa, seem to have planned their cities with cattle at the center of their designs, as these societies were traditionally pastoralist, and cattle held a deep cultural as well as economic significance in their collective society. For sources, check out my website, linked below. If you'd like to support future projects, you can do so there as well, or by clicking the join button below, or by becoming a patron. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching as usual, and always remember, we don't come from nothing.